everyone, and welcome to The Buck Stops Here. I am Catherine Murray. Well, as many of you know, my program does focus on the markets, business, and the policies that affect the economy and, of course, our economic outlook. And given the horrific events that we have witnessed in Israel over the past number of days, I wanted to bring in a guest who can provide some perspective. He is a behavioral economist focused on energy and the energy markets. Rafi Tahmazian is joining us now. He is a senior portfolio manager at Canoe Financial. Rafi, great to be with you, and thanks so much for joining us and sharing your perspective on what is such a awful, horrific situation for our friends in Israel and here at home in Canada as well, of course, and around the world. What's your perspective right now? And you actually had a really interesting comment on Sunday night. So, stepping back, macro, big picture, how are you seeing these events?
Well, we look at these events as always on a percentage basis. It's kind of like what is the percent of an outcome to happen? And quite a few of our peers would look at these things as well. And each individual event has a percentage chance of happening, an outcome. But as you start to stack these events up, you start to increase the chances of all of them happening too, or some of them happening. So what's developing here really in the last, really since COVID started, is we started with this deglobalization that really accelerated in COVID. And then you had this almost tearing feeling of those that were concerned with decarbonization and those were concerned with the very well-being of their society and the health of their communities. And let's call that the developed world versus the undeveloped world. The world seemed to be splitting into these two parts. And then we tacked on these events that are starting to occur, like the China-Taiwan issue or the Ukraine issue. And now you've got the Middle East issue. And they're adding up. And each of them has their own propensity. In and about all of that is the economic instability that's developing from an overzealous growth tech sector for quite a period of time. Inflation's running hot. Governments that were handing out, liquidity, transfer of distribution of income, massive transfer and distribution of income has occurred over the last 3-4 years into from the rich to the less rich and the poor even, and the poor have a propensity to spend, which is flaming the inflation along with oil prices because we're not attacking the demand issue. We can't find alternatives in time. All of these things add up and they start to make this thing look like a big tinderbox.
And so that's where you think we are now. And the attack on Israel almost highlighted all of these different events for you, I believe, because there are people who, of course, are saying, who funded Hamas? And that has been answered by some in the press, but not by everybody, I think.
Yeah, so getting specifically into the most recent event, you know, the questions around who, what is this, why now, how did they do it to this extent? Those are all questions that need to be answered. And it seems like the developed world has everybody is on pins and needles because of all these issues that I mentioned earlier are starting to create this really thin ice. And we just can't afford to have one more situation that's going to break the ice. And so it's very sensitive and tenuous right now. And the reality is we don't know what the purpose and what the outcome is going to be right now. And so that to me elevates geopolitical risk. It should create some sort of premium in the commodity price for energy, which is a hotbed in that region. And yet the market took that premium and erased it all almost immediately. And it tells me the market is probably um, using, taking, hoping that this outcome subsides, as opposed to the reality that the risk is high right now.
Right. And the Wall Street Journal front page today said that what happened with Hamas is rewriting the rules for the Middle East. We'll take a break. We'll be right back.